Now, just to be clear, regardless of your views on Russia, we know for a fact it is not a partisan talking point. It is established that the Obama administration abused this process. You were not supposed to unmask the name of an American caught up in intel surveillance unless you have a national security reason to do it. They didn't. Then they took that information and they leaked it to the Washington Post, to David Ignatius, a columnist there. That's a felony. We still don't know who did it. Nobody seems to care. We should care. You can't crush people using classified information. And you definitely can't do it for political reasons, which they did. But the press doesn't care at all. They stopped caring about civil liberties a long time ago. Senator Rand Paul, to his credit, actually does care about civil liberties, and we're happy to have Senator Paul on tonight. I don't think I'm imagining this. Oh, by the way, we have not covered Mike Flynn very often on this show. I've never thought it was an especially interesting story. Now I do, because this is shocking. I mean, what's your take on this?
Well, here's the thing, Tucker. I think it's worse than you can even imagine, and your viewers need to know that basically this is an end run on the Constitution. They had no warrant to listen to Flynn's conversation. So what they do is they go and they record the conversation of a foreigner, of an ambassador from Russia, but they don't really have to get a warrant. They either get a foreign surveillance warrant, which doesn't really require Fourth Amendment, and I actually don't care if they do or don't on the ambassador, but they're really doing it to come around and get the American.
Yes.
So it could be all along that Flynn was the target, and they decide to listen to as many people as possible to actually try to get Flynn, but Flynn being the target would be illegal. And when they say, well, there's no proof that this was done for political purposes, what were the national security purposes? And in fact, one of the reforms we should do to this is we should not let them unmask anybody without writing down and affirming what was the national security interest that caused you to unmask this person. I think absolutely it was politically motivated, and they should have to prove to us what was the national security interest. So you have the national security advisor, the new one, coming in, talking to the ambassador about policy. There's no national security interest in that, only political shenanigans, because they were trying to gin up this whole conspiracy with Russia thing that really wasn't going anywhere.
There's no guarantee Republicans will control either chamber of Congress. Of Congress. We don't know. Is the Republican-led Senate going to do anything to get to the bottom of this, do you think, before November?
Well, you know, we had a chance today, and we had a chance to reform FISA, and I had an amendment that said FISA should never be used on Americans, and it should be never used on a political campaign, because the FISA court doesn't obey the Fourth Amendment. They only have this standard that is lower than the Constitution that says all you got to do is prove some relationship to a foreign government. So they said, oh, Carter Page is related, so we can do whatever we want. But that's not the Constitution. So Americans should always have the Constitution to protect them. But what they did in this case is they voted down my amendment, because the deep state always wins. The deep state always wins because most Republicans actually support the deep state as well as the Democrats.
And I know you're never going to criticize your fellow Kentucky senator, but Mitch McConnell, who leads the Senate, should be ashamed. Our viewers should know that he's the reason a lot of things haven't happened. No one says that. It's true. You know it's true. I'm not going to ask you to verify it. Anyway, thank you for coming on, and I appreciate that.
Thanks, Tucker.